had ran into some complications with this. But we got it situated now. We are on Dylan Schumaker. If you guys don't know who Dylan Schumaker is, he was in 2013. He was a 16-year-old. He murdered his girlfriend's 23-year-old 23-month-old. I got it. Son Austin Smith. While he was babysitting him in New York. Um, Austin was dating this girl. Her name was Ashley Smith. They can't see us.
Do you need to see yourself?
They can't see us. That's the point.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I don't think they can see us. Him and this girl, he got together.
Put it down this way. Why won't it let me take it back down?
I don't know.
Here it goes.
Okay. He and this girl got together. She had a little.
Cute little blonde boy.
Yeah, he was 23 months old, and then she had a baby too. Dylan thought the youngest baby was his. The girl, I guess her dad had caught her. She had condoms in her bed or some stuff like that. And so her dad had kicked her out. And Dylan, thinking that her youngest was his, asked his mom if she could move in. And the mom thinking, that's her grandson, sure, go ahead, let's move them in. Dylan was only 16 years old at the time, and I think she was about 19.
Yeah.
At the time. So she ended up getting a job, and she was, because she, of course, had to support her kids and everything. And Dylan was 16. He was still going to school. He had just came out of a rehab because he was into stuff he wasn't supposed to, like, drugs, and he had anger problems and stuff like that. And he had just gotten out of a place for all that stuff. And he decided he was going to go back to school, and he was going to graduate and do better, change. They had come into his life, and usually Austin's dad usually babysits him quite a bit, but I guess at this time Dylan said, you know what, I'll watch both kids, because he was, Austin was like a son to him, so he was gonna watch Austin for her. So he had both kids. He usually don't have both kids, but at this time he did. She was working, and Dylan, before she went to work though, they had gotten into an argument, and Dylan had told her that she had to leave by the end of the week. So she said she was just going to call off for the night, and Dylan convinced her to go ahead and just go to work, you need money, go to work. So she was going to go to work, and he said he would stay home with the kids. So Dylan, he had the 23-month-old, and then he had that little baby with him. And the baby wasn't even that old, I don't think, just a couple months or so. He wasn't that old. So he,
So it was supposed to be a quiet night, turned into a nightmare.
absolutely did, yes. You know how he was almost 2 years old, and you know how they get fussy, they want stuff, whatever.
Well, Mom left,
Mm-hmm.
and he was crying a lot.
Well, he also, Dylan, he didn't want to eat. Because Dylan was trying to feed him, wasn't he?
I didn't see anything about that.
Yes. He was getting fussy. Dylan had to change him and stuff like that, and Dylan was getting,
He fell into a violent rage and took it out on the toddler, but wouldn't stop crying.
and he hit him in the face.
Over a course of several minutes, he beat the child repeatedly, delivering fatal blows to his head. And medical examiners later reported that Austin died from blunt force trauma, sustaining significant brain injuries that were impossible to survive.
Yes.
Can you imagine that little baby going through this? It's absolutely disturbing.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Now, he was known to have a short fuse, a temper, and it just, he snapped.
Yes, he was. He was a Springfield teenager. In New York, and he was born in 1997. So he was only 16 years old at this time, which can be a lot for somebody his age to be left alone with these two younger kids. But Dylan obviously felt like he could,
But it was
he could
his
do it
parents'
though.
house. I don't understand why he didn't go ask for help.
Yes, that's one of the questions that
I
people are
mean, he
wondering
was
too.
pissed off at her, then he watches the kids, and then he can't take the crying and the fussiness.
And after he had hit the kid several times, the kid didn't want to eat, and he was crying because he didn't want to eat. Well, of course, his mouth was sore, so he made him eat. Um, it's he did become frustrated. He hit his head repeatedly, including muffling his face with a pillow. Um, he did multiple impacts, such as hitting him several times, including backhanded smacks to the face, slamming his head on the ground while changing his diaper, and placing him on the bed with a pillow over him, punching him repeatedly in the head. He figured if he did that he wouldn't feel it as much. That obviously wasn't it. In the meantime, while he was doing this, he was also texting the child's mom, saying that he had fallen.
He also called emergency services and appeared frantic, confused, claiming the boy had fallen and wasn't breathing. But the extent of the injuries made it clear that it was no accident because he was covered in bruises. His whole body was covered in bruises.
Mm-hmm.
And his skull told a story that he couldn't hide. You don't get complete body damage and a messed up skull from a fall. I mean, unless he fell out, a 3-story building or higher.
He did. They said in Dylan's case, the level of violence, he knew what he was doing. It took the state Supreme Court jury only 3 hours to convict Springfield teenager of the intentional murder for beating the toddler to death while he was babysitting. Dylan did bow his head and looked at the defense table when the 7 of the women and 5 of the men jury verdict announced his verdict. And Dylan, he got second-degree murder and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. He did appeal, and his sentence was modified to 18 years. So he'll be in his 40s when he gets out.
But one of the most haunting pieces of evidence, they said, was Dylan's own words caught on a recording, where he cried in custody, not for the child, but for his own future. Quote unquote, I am a 16-year-old blonde. I don't want to go to jail for the rest of my life. End of quote. He was more concerned about his fate than the life that he took.
When he was texting Austin's mom, that's when he quit hitting.
Oh, so he took breaks in text.
Yeah, well, when he finally, because over the next few hours he was texting Austin's mom, and when he texted Austin's mom, he talked to her about that and other topics, and also flirted with other women. But when he was talking to them, that's when he quit hitting the toddler.
But what's sick is his defense team argued that Dylan had not intended to kill the boy, and that the crime was the result of lack of maturity. Are you kidding me? So, how is it that you have 16-year-olds that by law can watch kids? Apparently, somebody did some kind of science to say is at 16 you're mature enough to watch kids, and then they turn around and their defense is he wasn't mature enough. And then advocates for juvenile justice reform argue that adolescents, neurological, psychological, differ from adults, and their brains, particularly those responsible for impulse control and judgment, are not fully developed, and that they claim he should not be taken into account when determining the sentence. So they're trying to say he was too immature and didn't know that he killed the baby. Now, I always taught my kid when he said he couldn't do something, I'd say, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. And I'd say, you couldn't have done that without thinking about it, so you can't do anything without some kind of thought into it, so how can you say that he didn't mean to do this? You pick a baby up and slam it down, you punch it, you go out of your way to get a pillow and act like you're going to suffocate this poor infant. There's pictures on the internet. This little baby was so freaking cute. It's disgusting. I would love to get this asshole on podcasts. Love to.
Listen, we don't judge, remember? But
I want to know his idea of what he's got to say for himself besides I'm a blonde and I don't want to go to jail.
we did get in contact with Dylan.
What frame of mind was he in at the time?
We did get
He's 20-something now.
yes, we did get in contact with Dylan, and he said he doesn't want to. Well, he said he wants to go on and tell his side of the story. He said that you know that we don't know what really
I'm
happened.
concerned. How come is second degree worse than first degree murder?
I think it's a step down. First degree is the
Because
highest you can get.
he's the only one that was there that could have done this. So how come he got second?
I don't.
I'm curious.
I don't know if they're going because of his age or what the reasoning was, but we did try to have him on the podcast, and he said that he wanted to tell his side, but he don't feel it's the right time because he feels that the family is still mourning, and that he feels that he didn't want to bring it up and open up old wounds. But that's been since 2013. We're in 2025, almost 2026. I explained to him, you can, explain your side of the story. I
would love to hear what his frame of mind was then. I mean, did he black out and doesn't even realize what he did? Because people do that.
he was angry at the mother, and he could have been angry at the mother and took it out on the child. We're not saying that's what had happened. It's just a theory, because like I said, we can't really judge because we don't know. We weren't there. We weren't at the trial. We could only do so much research on him. Just like she said, we want to know what was going through his head, what made him think to do that. When he was on his phone texting Austin's
I mean, did he get
mom,
more angry at the response to the Texas, and that's how it came to this? Or are we misjudged and he did it all and then texted her, and we'll never know. No one was there to see.
He did go get his mom after all that had happened. But he did get 18 to life. That's what the sentence is now, because he did appeal. He's really not too far into his sentence yet. But we're really not going to know, because he was, selling. Wasn't it said he was selling drugs or something? He was selling stuff, and he was also talking to other women besides Austin's mom too. it's really hard to say with him.
There's not a lot of background.
We did try to do a full background on him, but there's really nothing.
Because with him being a
coming up.
minor, there's nothing really, we can't even look up his records.
I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on it. We will try to reach out to him some more and see if we can get him on. Make him feel, comfortable enough, which we thought that we were doing already, was making him feel comfortable enough to go on, but he just decided he just didn't want to go on. He felt it wasn't time, but even though we reassured him everything, but he's just not into doing it.
I like this. Whether viewed as a monster, a misguided youth, or something in between, his story forces us to confront some of the most difficult questions about justice, accountability, and the limits of forgiveness. I mean, this poor family's never going to forget this.
Oh, absolutely not.
I didn't see what jail even. Where was
He's
it?
in New York. He's in New York in over a period of about a week.
Road trip.
Well, we did talk to him, but I would like to visit him in the jail. That would be,
Road trip.
yeah, I would love to visit him in the jail, see, about him now, but I don't know if he would let us go on, would go see him or not.
So the advocates say that he was, an adolescent, and he wasn't physically, mentally, however you want to put it, and it was an impulsive thing he did. So that's when he was 16. He's what, 21 now?
He's about.
So I wonder if he's got any remorse now. I mean, he's got plenty of time to think about what happened. And I'm curious if he reached out and got a hold of the ex-girlfriend to find out, if she's moved on, if she's forgiven, or that's a hard thing to do.
I think if somebody like that killed my child, there would be no forgiving in that.
But it's a mind blower that someone could just snap like that. One of the many.
It happened in well, I guess it was like a small little community they lived in, Springfield, New York. Where crimes like this weren't even, they were like rare, like it didn't really happen. I mean, it's a small little town. Austin Smith, he was a cheerful and lively toddler, and that makes it even more heartbreaking because he's just a.
He's cutest little thing on. If
He
you
was
look up
like
his picture.
not that long, like a month before his birthday, before he turned 2.
Yeah.
And what makes it hard too, what makes it sad too, is that Dylan was 16 at the time when this had happened. They were both young, very young. It was in 2013. It was in March, and Dylan, when he made his 911 reporting, the child had went unresponsive. The responders came and they arrived at the residence, and of course the toddler was unconscious because of everything that had happened. They tried everything to save him, but of course he was pronounced dead at the hospital. they did get a hold of Austin's mom, and she had to leave work, and she, when she got up there, of course, they had to tell her about her child and everything. That would be really, really hard. The autopsy, of course, blunt force trauma. That kid, there was no way that kid could have survived any of it. It's just sad. But Austin kept saying he didn't mean to hurt him. He didn't mean to hurt him, but he did all this stuff to him.
He's appealing for a reduced sentence.
I know he did appeal once. For him, and that's when he got it from 25 to life to 18 to life. Which is like, I don't know. Like she said, we really can't judge because we don't know what was going through his head. We don't know, the whole, it doesn't explain, like, we did a lot of research on him. They didn't explain a lot of the situation. They don't explain, like, really anybody's background, history, or anything like that. So it's hard to get, it's hard to say, like, what his background was, or what her background was, or anything like that. Because it's not, it doesn't give a lot on that.
Well, it sounds like this case really pissed off the judge.
Well, yeah, because it was, now the judge, he sure did, he laid into Austin too. Or not Austin, I'm sorry, Dylan. He laid into Dylan about what Dylan had did. And Dylan kept turning back to Ashley saying, I didn't mean to hurt him, I didn't mean to hurt him, and everything. And like the judge told him, he's like, that boy he trusted you.
It says the judge overseeing the trial agreed, stating during sentencing that Schumaker intended to cause serious physical injury, no regard for human life. The sentence served as a stark reminder that while age is a factor, it does not guarantee immunity from adult consequences when the crime is this severe. So I think he was just done with it.
The judge definitely laid into him, and he had no mercy on him. Dylan did make his statement and everything. He did make his statement, and
He's 28 now.
he's 20. Yeah.
I did the math.
But I don't think it
Gotta
really
calculate.
matters. His statement, because he just was saying that he didn't mean to do it. He didn't mean to do it. He loved that kid like he was his own, and. But I just don't understand why it went as far as it did.
So he's already done 12 years? Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's hard to believe, yeah.
And it was, what was it again? How many to life? 25.
He got 18 to life now.
Oh, so they
Oh.
lowered it.
On January in 2014, he apologized in the Supreme State Court Justice, calling him a manipulator and a deceiver,
Modified it.
and imposed to 25 to life.
Bet you that family's not happy.
His own words recorded from jail, like you said, I'm a 16-year-old blonde. All I have to do is cry, and they're going to feel sorry for me.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that comment.
Yeah. It was reduced to 18 years to life as a matter of discretion, but noting the trial evidence was sufficient to show intent. So, they believe that it was intent. Um, he did do the display of tears and everything like that, but the judge pretty much laid into him, didn't spare him anything. Um, and then the judge was reading off, witness testimonies and stuff like that. And it's just sad what he did to that, what he did to that defenseless child. That child trusted him. And come to find out, that youngest child wasn't even his at the end.
Wow.
So,
There's the little boy. That's the one he
that's
killed.
little Austin, a month before his birthday.
Look how cute. It's horrible. Look at that face.
He's just a little guy.
Oh my god. I think
I couldn't even
that's messing with my dog. Imagine what you'd do if you did that to my kid. Oh. Alright, so if you have anything, questions or anything, let us know. Again, we have stuff back here. And
If there's anybody you want us to,
look into, investigate into.
we will try to get a hold of Dylan again to see if maybe we can get him on. To, even if it's to tell somewhat of his side, but like I said, we've been trying to get into his background. We can't find out about, anything about his past
Because
life.
he was a
Because it was a minor. But usually, sometimes though, they tell about their
well, unless he
the
did,
background.
yeah, like who his parents are in that,
Yeah.
but I don't think they can tell us.
They're not saying anything about anything. It just said he lived with his mom, and that he asked his mom if they could move in, and his mom thinking that the youngest was her grandkid, she okayed, and they did argue quite a bit. But that particular day, they did get into an argument, and that's when Dylan wanted her out by the end of the week, and she was gonna call off work that day, and
She's gonna regret that for the rest of her life.
yeah, but she honestly probably didn't think he was gonna do that. He agreed to watch the kids
Like I
because
said,
usually,
she's gonna regret that for the rest of
yeah,
her life.
usually Austin usually goes with his dad, but that particular day he wasn't because
So is that why he did that baby and not the younger one?
I don't know. I mean, he could have. I feel because he don't think Austin was his, because he knew Austin wasn't his, and he thought the other one was his. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Um, I couldn't tell you. I know he did. When they got into the argument, he locked himself into the bathroom with the youngest kid, and she told him, she wanted him to get out of there and stuff, and he, she'll call the police, and he said he'll get her for rape because he was 16, and they went back and forth on that situation too. You know how that is with they're kids. They were just teenagers. He did, he took his own defense though. He stood, he took the stand in his own defense. I don't know if that was really,
Smart or not.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys think on that. I really wish he was gonna come on. but he just didn't want to. I'm really kind of disappointed on that. Because a lot of them will say, hey, I'm going to come on. Highlight right. And then they'll get to almost a week before they have to come on, and then they'll back out. Some of them do that, and we explain to them we're still going to go on and we're still going to tell the story. It's just we won't have all of your side to it. You know, it is what it is. You agreed, you wanted us to do it, and then you decided, you know what? We've had it a couple of times where they said they wanted to do it. They get to right before, like a few days before, a week before, then they decide to either ghost us.
Or just the day of, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we told them, you know what, we're still gonna go on. That's just how it is. Light Bright, we are on YouTube also. If you want to watch us on YouTube, besides Podbean,
it's just terrible story.
and it's hard, like you said, we don't really judge, but this one it's just hard to tell. Like, did he do it out of anger because of her, because he was mad at her, or did he do it just because he really did get super angry? It's hard to tell what his thought process was in that. Like, did he tell her to go ahead and go to work because he knew what he was already going to do? Was he already intentionally thinking about it? Was this premeditated? We'll never know that either.
Well, he had a story awful quick about the kid fell.
Well, he probably maybe it was premeditated. He knows. He knew what was going to happen. I don't know. But they definitely said the evidence was so strong with him that there was no way of him getting out of it. There was just too much evidence. But you had a good point too. Is why didn't he go get his mom and say, hey, you know what? He won't stop screaming. He won't stop crying.
I need help.
Yeah, but he didn't even attempt to do that at all. The relatives of Austin, they cried during the verdict, not only for Austin, but also for now his convicted teenage killer. So, the kid's family, the little boy's family kind of, I think they didn't feel for Dylan. I think they felt more for the family of Dylan. Mm-hmm. The great grandmother of Austin's maternal great grandmother said, I felt just as a sir, but I also forgive Dylan because God would want us to and have to move on. Austin Smith's maternal grandmother said Dylan is 16 and his life is over basically before it even started, and I feel for his mother and his sister, and I feel for his family. Nobody comes out of this unscathed, and that's true. That's really true.
That's like losing your kid when they're in prison for
life. He impacted a lot of lives. Not only did he impact,
the
baby's life,
mother,
but he impacted
the mom,
his life too, because now his family's got to deal with, his mom's got to deal with the loss of her son in prison, and then, Ashley's got to deal with the loss of her son that had just passed away because of what he had did to him. She was only 19 years old, and she's probably got a lot of guilt too, a lot of what ifs. What if I would have just stayed home? What if I didn't go in? What if I would have left early when he said he fell?
Texas a little more serious and came home.
But he was also talking to her about other
And why
stuff
didn't they
too.
put some of those? They usually check their phones and stuff. Why didn't they see what they were arguing about to see if it would have pushed him to something like this?
Unless they did, and they just didn't put it on there because of how young he was.
True.
Um. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions about anything? About how Dylan, anything about him? I don't know if he's ever gonna get out.
I'm surprised we haven't read it in the paper that someone didn't do something to him while he's in prison because
Don't know if
it's
he's
a kid.
he might be in protective custody too. It doesn't.
He's 28 now.
You could still be in protective custody.
Why would he be?
Because he killed a child.
Well, sorry. You should have thought about that crime before you did it.
I mean, maybe he's not. I didn't see anything about protective custody on here.
Well, wouldn't he have told you that he couldn't do this because he was in?
No, because Tina Monroe's in protective custody. That's let me see. That's a good question.
I don't feel that you should be in there once you're legal age. If anyone has any input, let us know.
It doesn't say if he's in protective custody.
I don't see why he would be. He's 28. He was hidden long enough.
Cited 13 letters from witnesses and family members and called to manipulate or deceive before giving the maximum sentence. Didn't say anything about it.
Well, maybe we can open some dialogue and slowly get questions out of him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he would have told me if he was in protective custody or not. Let's see.
No, that town won't quit. They won't forget it very quick.
Oh no, not at
Terrible
all.
story.
That's a small little town too. Yeah, they were trying to say his brain wasn't fully developed, and that should be, be taken into consideration. But he knew what he was doing, and
He stopped to text her.
yeah, he knew what he was doing. He showed no regard for human life, and like I said, we don't try to judge, but I mean, this is just
This is kind of a cut and dry case.
yeah. He was still a child in a lot of people's eyes, but
I'm
still,
sorry. I'm glad he didn't take it out on both kids.
Well, the other one was probably sleeping. He's serving out a sentence. So far has been unsuccessful for more, reduced sentence. But it doesn't say anything about him being in protective custody, though.
God damn it. That has nothing to do with the camera.
Oh.
The camera's on top. That's why I started laughing when I remembered. I don't know why it went up there.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know what I bumped.
There it goes. Just hit no.
What is that?
It just says you're active. Do you want to exit? Just put no. I guess, after the headlines have faded, the story of a life lost a youth destroyed in a community that's been shaken. Which basically is it too. And, it's a reminder of what can happen when unchecked emotions, immaturity, and violence collide. So, I mean, this is definitely tragic. But I guess that's really all we can post on him, because he really doesn't have a lot, and we're gonna have to try and get a hold of him to see if he'll, you know, we'll try to get him to come on, but I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. But if you guys are interested in somebody special that you want us to look into, shoot us, let us know. You can text us, you can message us on here, you can go on YouTube, you can message, you can go on our Facebook page too, also. We also have stuff for sale too. We have stuff for the Freeway Killer, which is
going by Tina Monroe now.
Yes, it's James Michael Monroe going as Tina Monroe. She has stuff for sale. A prison radio with the charger, transcripts, pictures,
drawings,
whatever you guys, and if you want something drawn that has to do with that has to do with the situation, I'm sure she'll be happy to draw it for you. Get a hold of us, let us know. We had already sold the pants and the bathrobe, and everything's signed too. Everything's signed, so it is legit. The pictures are all in frames, so they do come into the frames. Just let us know. We have all kinds of stuff available. There's that one right there. I want to show that one. We got one of the pictures right here.
Oh, the light's not good.
There we go. There you go.
That's one of his drawings. Her drawings, sorry.
But it is signed by James Michael Monroe, and then put Tina Monroe right next to it, so it's, both. Tina Monroe does go up for parole this month. So, they're gonna go up for parole, I think, sometime next week, and I'm not for sure if they're gonna set out a trial date or if they're just gonna do it next week. I'm not really for sure on that. I'll have to keep you guys updated and let you know, because it's, that time again, so she's hoping for the best on it. I think she's been in there since like 84.
Yeah.
Since like the 80s. It's been a long time. Definitely going to come into a whole different world. But we do keep in touch in regular, and we do with quite a few people. We do keep in touch with quite a few serial killers. We have talked to the BTK killer. We talked to Michael Carson. Michael Bear Carson. We talked to him. We talked to quite a few. There's actually quite a list we talked to. But if you guys have anybody you want us to discuss or anything like that, we apologize for being late in kind of a short podcast tonight, because we honestly didn't know we were going to run into some kind of technical difficulties on this. Which was my bad. Wrong buttons. But we did do a lot of research on Dylan, and like I said, we planned on doing him, but we we kept trying to find quite a bit of information to tell you about his background, but like I said, like she said, there's just we can't find nothing. You know, we've had kids
him
that
being a minor, even if he got in trouble, they're not going to be able to post it.
like when we did Aiden Fucci, we got some kind of background on him, but that was just because they were open about it apparently, and you know was saying stuff about his background. But in here, there's really not.
Well, the
That much
family might
background.
have put a little thing on it too,
It's a possibility too.
so their names aren't getting dragged through, media so much.
It's definitely sad for both parties involved. That for his family and Austin's family too. Because you don't know what was going through that little boy's mind. He couldn't defend himself. All he could do was just cry.
So, what would you like to do next time?
I don't know. Is there like
Anybody
anybody in
hear
particular
anything
you
specific?
guys want to look into? Um or do you guys have anybody?
To be announced.
Yes, there's quite a few we can do. We just you know, we just got to find some that are, interesting, something. I don't know. I really don't have anybody we can offhand right now. That's just something we kind of look into things. So it's not like we're gonna like right now tell you because we just do random people. We do research on a lot of people, but I don't think we have one to do this time. Um,
I took a few notes, but I am still looking into if there's anything on them. There should have been some papers in there. But this one hits home,
yes.
especially when you have kids. This one definitely hits home.
Derek Roby. I don't know if you heard of him. Uh, he was a little 4-year-old boy that was murdered by Eric Smith in New York. And Eric Smith had just he got released. I don't think it was that long ago. We could do Eric Smith. Eric.
Eric?
Eric. He's the little redhead boy.
Smith?
Smith, yeah. Yeah. Derek Joseph Roby, yeah.
He was only 13 when he did his crime.
Yes. Yes, he was.
Boy.
We can do
Righty.
Eric Smith. I've looked into him quite a bit. I was doing some research on him. If you want to do him, we can do him.
We can.
That's a very interesting one too. And
Unless-
his reasoning behind it, you would be surprised what his reasoning was for that. But he did get released. I don't think it was that long ago. But he is out in New York, unless he changed his, where he was going to live at. But, he was a little redheaded boy with glasses. Um, but yeah, he was 13 years old, and he became eligible for parole in 2002. But we can get into that.
Released in 2022.
Was it 2022 he was released?
It says released from prison on February 1st, 2022.
Okay, yeah, I knew he got released. Like, it was pretty recent. I don't think they're releasing like his location though, but he says he plans on having a family and you know and living life. But he was in there quite a while.
Another Yorker?
Yeah, when he was in New York. But we'll have to get into that. That's definitely an interesting one, and that's another sad story too.
Wow.
Mhm.
Alrighty.
So there you have it. That's our next one is Eric Smith. If you guys have any questions or anything, just let us know. Does anybody on Podbean or YouTube right now have any questions about anything? I think everybody's good.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then, we'll see you guys. Oh shoot, our next date will be. I didn't think about that. The 19th of this month at 6 p.m. And if anything changes, we will let you know on our Facebook page. We're usually pretty good at letting you know on that. There's one called KEAN Blasner or Inside the Mind of Serial Killers, and the KEAN Blasner, it says Pure Evil Killers on there, so you know it's ours. But if you go to Pure Evil Inside the Mind of Serial Killers, it'll take you there. But hopefully we see you guys again on the 19th at 6 p.m.